Hello and
Hello.
welcome back to Alchemy with Sheeana Leigh. And today I have a very special guest and a very beautifully deep episode with one of my closest friends, Hana. And if you do not know Hana, you will know her shortly. We connected on the internet, on IG a few years ago. That's where we first bonded and created our relationship. And we've kind of been working around co creating and building our businesses sort of in similar resonance. And our love for each other and our friendship has actually just grown beautifully. And we connect and do video chats across the world. And we're bringing that to real life very soon because Hannah is getting married and I'm heading over to Sedona to go and bear witness and be a part of the ceremony. So celebrating love in this space. And yeah, my love for Hannah is really deep. She is one of the most powerful women I know. She is steeped in reverence, coherence, connection to everything, which I love. Earth, God, love, relationship, eros. It's palpable, it's powerful, and you can really feel the resonance in her words. And it comes from such a powerfully embodied place that it kind of lands in your body and you always feel seen and heard. She is actually one of the women in this world and in this life that I can come to with the most horrendous, chaotic, sensational experiences, and she doesn't flinch, which is super rare. Those are my people. So I'm super excited to be reintroduced to her because we've actually been on a podcast together before. Episode 7, we journeyed deep into the underworld, and when we connect, it is powerful, and it's evident because that was the number one podcast of my entire alchemy arc. So introducing Hannah, say hello, welcome, and she can get a connected going with you now. Introducing herself.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. I loved our last conversation, and I'll just let everyone in. It was like after the last podcast wrapped and she was done, I was like, will you please come to my wedding and like help be part of our like ceremony? And I just see you as such a ceremonialist, and just yeah, like I've actually been going into what is shamanism and feeling, because I've always felt that in you, and it's not a path that I've ever formally explored deeply, but coming into this understanding recently of it's just like it's basically being a Jedi with like the living field that we're inside of. And I always feel that, and I see that in the way that you facilitate and move through spaces. And it's something that I actually was like, oh, that's what it is. I get it. I do that actually too.
You do.
And
Yes.
I just feel like somehow from across the world, like there's just like I said to you recently, I was like, I feel like you're one of the rare people where it's like any stage in life that we met, we would have hit it off. Like, we both like the intensity, whether it was like intense partying in our like, that we ever did in our past, or like now when it's like basically we're obsessed with tripping on like the psychedelic experience of being a woman fully
Yes.
incarnated, fully inhabiting her sensing vessel, So
Yeah.
yeah, I just feel like we have so much in common. And for anyone who doesn't know me, my brand is Embodied Gnosis, and I'm really, really just here for women being so anchored to the place inside of them where they remember themselves as truth, love, like whatever their unique essence is, and then like whatever is required to build out the inner energetic architecture to like be that and emanate that as an expression out into the world.
Yeah. Yum. Every time you speak, I'm like, yes, I feel that. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. And so we are going to go on a bit of a journey, a bit of an initiation today, as we always do when we come together and talk. And the overall arc of today's episode is all about the awakening of the oracle, what we're seeing in the field, what we're feeling, what's palpable, the pulse of that we're actually both connected to and we're all connected to, and what that means at this point in time on earth. And also we have a very exciting announcement at the end, so stick around till the end. I've never done a little stick around to the end if you want to journey reveal before, so that feels good. But yeah, we will share a little bit more deeper about why we're coming in to anchor this in and connect today. And I'm sure you can all feel it at this moment. Oracle has been kind of become a little bit of a buzzword. We've spoken about it, and you know, when things start to get heightened in the collective field, that it is heightened within our personal field and our energy, and it's seeped in the earth. So we're going to talk about that. What is, and I'd love to just kick us off by asking what is an oracle to you, Hana, and why we are as women deeply connected to, or should be deeply connected to, our oracular nature, and why that is biologically sewed into us. I feel like that's a good place to start, because people would hear oracle and be like, what is that? And make it this really very mystical woo-woo thing, which it is. And also, let's ground it into reality.
Yeah. I almost feel like it's not even a direct response to your question, but I just feel moved to start with like the history of the oracle. And one of the things that I think we've gotten really far away from at this time on earth is like the idea that we are right now, like as physically dense as we are, as ever, like as we will ever be. And that like the oracle originally, to understand the original oracle template, you have to be able to understand that humanity was not always in the same condition, and that like the next stage in our evolution, we're not going to be in the same condition. And you and I, we love the density. And I know both of us are stands for what I call genitals deep embodiment, which is like basically you go all the way down because it's in your pelvis, right? That everything you've ever and ultimately it's in your whole body, right? Everything you never felt, or like everything that you couldn't be present with in real time, like any emotion that you suppress, like it all gets stuffed down in your body. And there's a process, right, of going through the layers. And ultimately, if you don't get all the way down to your pelvis and to your sexual energy, then in my opinion, you haven't really gone far enough. Like you're building on a house of sand until you do that. And so like I say this to be like, this is not like we have to get out of this density. This is something we have to escape. No, but right, like the oracle originally, I believe it's more so from Lemuria, that it was like the oracles were essentially where men would go to feel connected to the divine. And so there's like a priestess temple where like women are in this oracle template that men are able to visit and feel connected to the divine. And we are, of course, an epoch or two, a couple epochs past that point, and it's like men absolutely have a connection to God inside of them. And what carries over is that women have a very particular way of relating with the unseen, and like it's so important also to say, it's like this isn't about opening yourself up as a channel for like whatever's floating in the astral that wants to like come through you, that's looking for a voice, right? It's like we are talking about like straight to source, straight to God, which means from within you, your direct channel to the divine, not like coming up and out of yourself, connecting to like who knows what, and like being a voice for that. Like that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about being able to connect with and speak from a place that is so much deeper than your mind. And I think one of the reasons you and I also have so much fun in our conversations is like we are quite unfiltered. We are quite unfiltered. And it was certainly messy before it becomes articulate, but like a lot of, I think what it is to be an oracle is to not like, to stop second guessing, to stop like contorting, and to actually just connect to like what is the truth. And then whatever you need to do, whatever journey that will take you on, of learning how to stand up and express that. Like without leaving like a rested back feminine place. But it's just like, it's like to open up and express that like from your pussy, like from your genitals, that you are like, I like every part of me is in alignment with what I'm saying. And like that's what the oracle is in this time. So we bring the beyond from the unseen, and ultimately from what we, because we can also talk about discernment like as a whole thing, right? But it's like,
Yeah.
so part of the responsibility that we have on this path is to really cultivate our discernment. And I mean, there's so many things. I think you asked me a couple of questions. I'm just going to pass it to you and see what you, because I have, you want to jump in?
I'm just like sitting here with a big grin on my face, like, yes, yes, yes. And like touching my womb as you're talking. And like everything that you are saying really hits and it's really resonant. And I truly do believe that being in touch with your true biology and your true body, which like, and I'm not just your ethereal body, your energetic body, but your physical body has actually been a bit of a missing link. And I feel like to really tap in and go all the way to that oracle essence, it is bone deep, it is blood deep, like it is in our blood, it is in our flesh. And I think that that has been on the journey of the oracle has kind of been a fractal or fractured piece of the puzzle, right? And I love that what you're speaking on about, yeah, it is about being open and being a vessel and being connected to the elements around you and the unseen realms. We are tapped in by design as women to that. And we have forgotten that absolutely with the rise of New Age spirituality, but also the suppression of spirituality and mysticism and feminine mysticism, which has its own unique flavor, I believe, that has largely been soiled and covered up, right? And so what we're seeing, we are in this great era of uncovering everything. And that is what we're seeing. That is what we're witnessing, the great unveiling of the earth, where all of these like systems that are in place are crumbling down or being revealed. And I believe that that essence in of itself, like that includes the paradigms and what we're holding within us, right? Like that disconnection to nature, that disconnection to our actual blood and our bones and our flesh, which is absolutely needed on this journey of, you know, being an oracle. And yes, I believe that we can be I believe women have really forgotten their threshold nature for men and their actual bridge nature for men, which is what you tapped on as well. Like we are our womb beings. Like we are so, and I love that you shared that too, because I just had a bit of a weird DMT trip on my womb a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, whoa, like the womb was like, oh, it makes me tear up. The power of the womb and the actual magical mystical nature is not even been tapped into yet. Like we're just uncovering that now. And to be that vessel for a man, like I think that that has also kept us in this like fragmented state with men. Like we're seeing this great unraveling of this like male loneliness epidemic and women choosing not to date and relate and marry. Like we're seeing this huge ripple effect happening in our world right now. And I think that ultimately is serving a purpose. Like I ultimately do believe that women are going to come back into their energy, come back into their bodies, tap into the truth that is there, and that will allow us to come forward in a whole new way. And I think that that is why we're seeing, yeah, this sort of like rise of the oracle, the rise of like visions and mystics, and yeah, feminine embodiment that is actually grounded in feminine pussy embodiment and being a voice, which we've forgotten that power of us too, right? Like we've been so afraid of power in general. Not and then so I feel like we're only just starting to understand what does power mean for women, what does feminine power mean for us, and we're still just tapping into that and understanding that. And I think we can only do that together. And I think that this is why yeah, we're being separated for a time from from men, from energy siphoning, from all of these tools and tactics, so that we can actually come together and our wombs can start to be coherent with each other and weave together, which I think also amplifies our power on this planet. Wow.
I like, yes, like feminine power is soft power, and it's shared power, and it's power that rises up from below, right? And like what we have in this world is, I would say, it's like a toxic mimic of power that's actually either force or domination, right? That's like a top down thing. And so anyone who, like, you and I are both very body-based practitioners, right? Like, we know, and if you've done any sort of like understandings of trauma in the body and things like that, right? It's like we're realizing that a top-down approach doesn't work. Like, people just go to their therapist every week, they vomit up their insides for an hour, and then they go back and they do whatever it is that they do, and they just stay, you know. And it's like, until you include the body and like a bottom-up approach, like I said in the beginning too, of like actually alchemize, like digesting your experience, alchemizing it, and to tie it into like what I like another thread from earlier. This is how we work, right? It's like so many threads, and we'll just see how many tabs we close by the end. But it's like to actually go all the way down and in and alchemize the lead into gold, or separate the wheat from the chaff, right? And that becomes a transubstantiation process, which is ultimately, how we will go, like how we are bringing about a density shift on the planet. Like, there will be, and this is why I also think the oracles are being awakened. It's like you have to be able to see where we're going. And this is the gap that's huge in organized religion, which is that, like, it's just like, oh, you're just in this material form, and then someday you'll be snapped up to heaven. And it's like, no, we're actually participating in that process. And like through alchemy in our bodies, like humanity is evolving, not just like, if you look at the gene keys, for instance, right? It's like from carbon-based DNA to like silicate-based DNA. And to top it off, we're in this time where it's like, there's a very synthetic option where it's like people will be, and I look at this through an elemental lens, like the metals will be bound up and densified, and then consciousness will be projected into like a cloud, right? Like that's the inorganic version of this density shift. And then there's an organic version where it's like we actually transubstantiate everything in our body. We set the elements free to go on their own spiritual journey, because they don't need to support us as much anymore. We can actually release them and like become more etheric as we were back in the time when the oracle first came. And so like I really feel like what's so important is that we can actually see what's happening, because there is power in our perception and like what we continue to see. And you can also look at this when you're looking at the world and you're seeing these false overlays, right? The things that are, whether it's like predictive programming in Hollywood, or because that's why predictive programming is what it is. It's like they want everyone to be imagining and like using the creational power of their sight to see this dystopian outcome.
Yeah.
And so what we need is people who can see this other outcome and like actually see why we're doing what we're doing and how much it matters, and keep going even when it's hard and it feels like the odds are stacked against us and all of these things. Like, we have to see where we're going and like what's possible, and keep our gaze on that and point it out to others and say, it's here, it's here, it's here. Because like I'm having chills right now, but it's like we have to be able to see this thing and point it out to other people so that it becomes realized. So I think that's part of why the oracles are being awakened.
You opened so many tabs there and so many threads that I want to hit on, and I'm going to do my best to try, because you made some really incredible points. And it's been funny because what I find when we come together, and this is what I really want to sort of ground here, is when being an oracle or being a seer or a feminine mystic can sometimes be a lonely path, right? Like, because you are seeing and feeling things that others are not. And sometimes you think you're crazy. And sometimes you're just sitting here alone, feeling all of the feelings and alchemizing things through your body. And it is a potent full-time fucking job. And people don't realize that, right? Like people don't actually realize sometimes like how much we're doing behind the scenes just in our energetic body. But that aside, I really want to hit this because like the last few days I've had all of these things, quite a few of the threads that you've just brought forward, right, humming in my body, humming around in my system. And then now we've come together and we're speaking on this right now and we're co-creating. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And it makes the path feel full. And not just full, but it makes you feel like I feel very, it feels like a beautiful honey balm to my system. That's the only thing that I can say. Like hearing you speak this, it's like there are other women out there that are feeling this and knowing this and have this internal knowledge and are basically hitting the same things, and it makes you feel so good in the body. Like, so the last couple of days, so good, right? Like, my room is like boom, boom, like pulsing. It's like, yes, yes, yes. Because, yeah, I've had these things moving around, like something you shared that's been, we see a lot of pathways open up when things are being shaken up, right? And so, and we see those paths being fully activated. So I love like there's always these splits in like timelines or paradigms that kind of come out of like true source, right? And so we have this thread of connection that actually runs through all of us and to the deeper internal us, God, source, whatever that pulse is that you want to call it. And I find that you have these like I'm a very visual person, so I'm using my hands to explain this and trying to speak it out as best I can. Then you have these like splits, these pathways, and they split in two. And on those pathways, and you can feel and see that in collective. So one of them at the moment is obviously going back to the old way and tradition and how it was and how it, used to be. Like male and women roles. Like we're seeing the rise of this like cottage core, traditional-esque feminine masculine paradigm. And then we're also seeing the rise of this totally different paradigm of like, I don't need no man, like we're separating from each other, we don't need each other, we're going to be quite individualist. And this kind of dystopian annihilated like paradigm, but we see these splits come out, these fake families, these robotic wombs, these like, it's just, you see the noise and it's like the seers and the oracles and like are able to anchor onto that true timeline, the truth, right? And they're able to, while the world is going crazy and splitting off into these like fractured timeline splits, and we're seeing them reflected back to us, the seers and the oracles can sit in their anchored being and constantly seek truth. It's not the old way, it's a completely new way, right? It's not this, it's that. And that's tiring. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it can be a lot. But that is the job and the role of oracles in the whole collective. And bringing that thread back around, in the past that was revered and honored. They would be sought after and they would be able to return to again and again to drown out or fizzle out the loudness and the noise, right? And remind the collective and remind the people of truth, right? Just in their knowing and their being. And I don't know if I trailed off there, but I'm glad I did. There was way more things I wanted to hit on, but yeah, that was one of them. Like, it's powerful to really come together and feel that collective thread of that this is truth, this is grounded in, I'm not crazy. And also that like, we've lost reverence for that. But I think that while the world gets crazier and splits off heaps more, I think that's why we're seeing the rise of and the need, not even just the rise, but the actual need for them on the earth, on here right now to anchor in.
And you keep like saying anchor, right? And it goes to this like it's a descended posture. oracle is a descended posture, and it's also a service posture,
Yeah.
because that like there's this huge gap of people who can feel it and who can see it who aren't speaking to it as well, right? And it's like we really are called to take it all the way from like bring this rich interior like out here as an offering and a contribution to the world. Like it's part of the equation, it's part of the path, and it's also how you keep deepening in your gifts. And I have to tell you, like, one of the, because this is goes back to the beginning of your what you were saying there, but it's like one of my teachers says this thing that I want all mystical women to hear, which is that you're not insane, you're sane in an insane world. Like, and I'm just like, and it's like that's why we need each other, because I so relate to, like, I felt crazy, I felt like, and I think there's potentially a neurodivergent connection as well. Like I'm definitely very neurodivergent, and like
I'm
I
glad
just
you said
remember
that.
like, constantly feeling like so like my brain was broken, you know, and like I went on a big part of my story is like I was on a really high dose of Adderall for a very long time. I got very dissociated, very numb, like for a long time in my body because I had ADHD, which I'm pretty sure just means you're neurodivergent, which basically means you're not here to like fit in to the existing system. You're here to disrupt it. You are divergent, and it is good. It means you're meant to be in a creator role
Yeah.
in the new world. And it also I think ADHD, it's like you're just very feminine. like
Yeah.
you're just a feminine being. And so, you know, and so from being really numb, really dissociated, I go on this whole journey of like sensual and erotic awakening. Like my whole system resensitizes, and then all of these psychic gifts start opening, because it's like from being in our body, from awakening our physical senses, from there, all like it just gets more and more subtle. And then all of a sudden it's, yeah, like your psychic, like as above so below. So it's like the more turned on your physical senses are, the more turned on your psychic senses are. We have five below, five above, and like there, like it's just there's a, like you come down, and it's also in that descent where you're connected to everything, where you're connected to the truth that like there are no particles, there's only waves, right? It's like it just only ever appears to be a particle. Like all of these things we think are fixed in this world are mostly false constructs. And they can serve a good purpose, right? We need to be able to say this is that so that we can have a conversation, right? So it's not like it's a bad thing, and there's a deeper truth. And I really think that we're going to have some crazy shifts in language in the nearish future, you know, which we don't need to get into, but it's like there's going to, like, first of all, with AI, it's like there's going to be instant translation if there's not already, right? And it's just there's going to be a way that, like, you and I, for instance, are feeling each other in this moment and like have a sense of where each other are going. And like this is the power of women too. It's like there's always like a body to body conversation, or a soul to soul conversation, a heart to heart, a womb to a womb conversation happening.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can only hear the words. Like they're
Yeah.
just only on this like verbal, right? And then verbal means brain. And so
Mm.
the oracle, like I was saying earlier, like there's a way that you start to bypass your brain, and you
Yeah.
actually just speak from your soul, from your soul that's aligned and connected to God. And it's like the more that you're descended, the more you're in this interconnected, which is also the shamanism, right? Where it's like there's a living field that is encoded very brilliantly by our creator to move energy. And you can actually, the more you feel it, the more you can be a conduit and be in alignment and be a vessel for energy digesting. And like, you know, I've really been on this on my Instagram recently, where it's like all energy is encrypted by God already to seek resolution. So
Yeah.
our, like, so much of our work is actually so simple to just get out of the way. Have your, like, if you can just get your mind to stop trying to fix everything and relax, like so much information would get to digest and come forward from your body.
Yeah. Yeah, so true. I love that. First of all, I wanted to say when you were saying about your mentor saying you're not insane, you're sane in an insane world. there was the most beautiful orange butterfly that just came and like landed on the window and just like flitted around. And it was so beautiful. And I felt like when that popped up, I was obviously thinking about our last descent, where we actually spoke about journeying the underworld, and we spoke about the chrysalis, and we spoke about the butterfly, and we spoke about descending down and in. And I just find that so funny because all of that happened in a split second while you were talking, and my body was just like digesting that and going, yeah, like that is the path, that is the body based path.
It's like that's like the synchronicities are just how life is when we're not interfering, and like when we're participating rather than trying to control things. I want you to speak. I'm like, that is
it.
That is
exactly.
It's not random.
It's not random. No, and it really isn't, because and it's like it's remembering, and it gives you this like childlike, which I love. I love childlike wonder and play and curiousness, and it does really kind of activate that within you again when you start to see these, like, these synchronicities, these like magical moments that are actually divine drops of, God source. Like, you're just like, yes, yes, yes. And it brings up that, yeah, that curiousness, that wonder, and that play. And it makes you feel so good inside. Oh my God, yes. There was so much more I wanted to say then, but I really, yeah, the body-based stuff is so, so true. If we just get out of our own way, get out of our heads, and it's interesting. I want to talk about this because the deeper I go into my body and the deeper I go into like my energy, and I feel dumber, like speaking sometimes. I know that's going to sound so stupid, but that is a true, like, I am finding it hard. I remember I used to be like so articulate and use all these like beautiful words and these poetic words. And like now I don't have words. It's kind of like the literacy, that cognitive part of me that was like so smart, intelligent, has kind of dropped offline. And I sometimes can't articulate like what is going on in the body. And I sometimes feel like I sound way more stupid now than I did 2 years ago when I was, which I think is this like funny paradox. It's like you're actually,
but you get all of this synchronicity.
you just like dropped into this like body, this like feminine flow state, this like, eroticizing life, and your gifts do come online. Your spirituality is really tuned in, and I'm so tapped into what is going on at moment to moment, that like I will just know. My body will tell me things, and I will find out things way later. Like, even just as to ground it in reality, I had this experience, me and you were talking about this, where I felt like I just needed to get out of WA. Like, my body tells me when it's time to move. And I get this sense of urgency, and it comes from my body. It's not logic. I don't understand it. I don't know how it's going to work. Everything sort of flows in. And then you always find out after the fact. So I moved, and immediately after, like, I found out some information, that could have, been just put me in a little bit of like the wrong path, or it put somebody in my life that could have been a hazard or a danger or not in alignment, like whatever you want to say, without getting into too many details. And it's like I found out this information, and I was like, oh, that's why I had to leave, right? And recently, and it's because you're so tapped into the field, to the earth, to the elements, to you, and to your body. Like, you can only anchor that in like through your body. Your body is actually starting to give you messages and signs and signals. And the thing is, when you're first starting out, like those sensations, or that, you will try and think them away. Your brain is still online, and your brain will be like, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, I don't like, why, and logicalize it and try and put all the pieces in, but it's not logical. It is felt body sensation. And I think that this is the wisdom that is coming back online for women. And it starts off quite small. And now I never not listen to it. Like 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to be down on the Sunshine Coast and living with a girlfriend. And my body was like, no, 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 no. And then she messages me and tells me what's happened to her. And I was like, this is confirmation. Okay, cool. And like I listened to that. It never ever leads me astray. The body never lies. The body never lies. And like I wish more people really could grasp that, especially women, because your body will tell you who's right for you, who's wrong for you, who's damaging, who's in a like your body screams these like micro things to you and sensationally, and like we are so used to suffocating these like signs and symptoms until they erupt in our body and create like disease and like calcification and hardening. And yeah, I really wish more women would listen to their body.
Glad. No, I'm so glad you said that, and also brought in like these examples. I have so many of those, and I tell all of my clients like you need to be stacking the receipts of every time your information, like your intuition is correct.
Stacking
like
receipts.
Because exactly like you're saying, it's like you like what you're also talking about is it's like a pre-rational intelligence or non-rational intelligence. It's just like, and I love both of those examples because it's like you get the information later. It tracks along the lines of like, mysticism is what science can't yet explain. And science is about what's measurable, right? And like it's like every time they think the smallest unit is a cell, and then they find out it's an atom or a nucleus, or I don't know that stuff, but it's like science is like it's for a different part of your being. It's for your brain. That's why I'm just like, whatever. It seems like science is catching up with all of these things that mystics and shamans have been saying for centuries and before that, and probably before the written word, right? And it's like your rational mind is going to keep, like, if you only live from there, then you're basically going to be living in reaction your whole life, reaction to what has already materialized. And like when you're in your body and when you're in your oracular nature and you activate this potential within you, then that's when you can really be in co-creatorship with the deeper currents of life and energy that are already moving, right? And like what Sheeana is saying so beautifully, right? It's like you actually get to let yourself be moved as well. And the more like, yes, you like, you're going to hear all of these things from yourself in the beginning of like, that makes no sense. You're probably wrong. And like, and can I just say too, like this, Clay has said this so many times. This is my fiance, has said this so many times of like, he also has had to stack these receipts of times that I wanted things, like especially with my desires, right, that made no sense. And then after the fact was like, oh, our lives are so much better because of that. We didn't know, like, because things are happening and this greater field of intelligence of God, right, is there's so many pieces that our human minds can't see, much less like we couldn't grok the whole picture. And there's a sequence in which things are unfolding, but we don't know all the pieces that are relevant. And that's why like this non-linear, non-rational intelligence and eros and desire and all of these things that operate non-rationally will, like, they are yoked to this organic intelligence, to this sequence that the creator has encrypted all energy with already. And so you can actually move with that and be moved by that, and you're going to be in a much better position to create your life. And you're going to find yourself in places that you're like, why did I need to be here? And then you're going to meet someone, or then there's going to be an opportunity, or you're not going to be in a place where you were supposed to be, where something bad happens. It's like, this is a very real thing, and is the thing that women offer to men. Like this, that's what I was saying about Clay. It's like he sees it too now, and it was even harder for him, and that's why it's like, you really as a woman have to have your voice and be able to get all of your energy behind what you know. Oof. And then you move the world.
Yes, I love that because it's true though, because men don't understand, because it's not in their biology. That is not the way that they are wired or designed. And
and thank God, like, it's complementary, of course.
Exactly.
Like, I have no brain when I'm out in the world with it. Have you seen that trend of it's like women and men in airports, and he's like, true. Okay, I parked here, the gate's here, like what? And she's like, what?
Yes, I'm like that normally, because I just feel so held by God, like all the time. Like I've really cultivated that little like dreamy like do, like not, but I get it. It's hyper, it's activated
Well, it's
so
a
much
childlike
more.
wonder, like you're
Yeah.
saying too.
And it's so funny because like, okay, now there's a hummingbird. Beautiful. Where are all these animals coming from today? It was so beautiful. It's making me want to cry. Yeah, I'm like that with men though too. Like with my ex-husband, like I was so offline constantly and he was just on it. And I love that. I love that for us as women. Like it's so beautiful because we are, and this is something I want to really like say in this space too, is like we have been sold this paradigm of, this like patriarchal system that we are living in at the moment of men are the leaders, men know the way, except but men cannot lead us to places that they cannot see, right? And so this is what I really want to lay down. It's like, yeah, men are leaders, but women are leaders too in such a different way. And it's a way that we can't rationalize, which in this world of logic and reason, like this very materialistic, if I got to see it to believe it, and da, 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 it can be eroded away as not as intelligent or not as, but it's actually highly intelligent. And if you knew how the body worked, you actually receive more sensations and more information from your body to your brain than you do from your brain to your body. And it's hundreds, like it's hundreds per like microsecond, because your body is like picking up these like unseen elements and energy around you. It's picking up environment, it's picking up nervous systems, it's picking up like all of these unseen elements. And as women, we are deeply tapped into that. Like I believe it comes down to our womb and our connection with the other world through our womb. Like I said, you can have this like full trip on a womb. Like it's the birthing ground. Like I think that women are really tapped into that sort of like DMT molecule through birth, through our bleed, if we wanted to get all sciencey about it. And I think this is why we are tapped in. And men find it hard to, I wouldn't say like follow that or take on that wisdom, because it's illogical. It's irrational and it's illogical and it doesn't make so-called sense. But I
But it
feel
does
like
in hindsight.
it does
That's
in
the thing,
hindsight. This is it.
right? In
This is why we take
hindsight.
receipts.
So
Because
it's like the oracle sees what's not yet here. And then in
yes,
hindsight, it's like, that was perfect. We needed that. Wow. Like, and it seems like magic. And like, that's really like one of the things I say a lot is like making the mystical practical, making the mystical practicable. And it's
yeah,
just like, in hindsight, you will see exactly why, but
yes,
it will feel like you're feeling around in the dark. But that's also what it is to live by faith, right? Like, I love
yeah.
the quote of like faith is taking the first step when you can't see the whole staircase. So there is this huge element of faith as well in walking this path. But then you look back and you're like, it's like the red carpet just rolls out and you're like, oh my gosh, it's better than I could have ever if I was trying to live just by what made sense and what my rational mind could conceive of.
Absolutely. And I think, with that faith as well, like we can always put, and I see this quite often, we can always put our complete faith in God or our complete faith of being held. But I think what really like nails this into the body and makes you walk with conviction is actually your faith within yourself. And the faith, I feel like you can have all of the surrendering and all the faith in the world, but if you don't actually have faith in your body and trust, and that's when it comes back to that bone deep embodiment, like pelvis pussy way of walking. It's like you actually have trust and faith in your power, in your body, in your oracular nature. And that gives you the freedom to awaken your voice and speak these things out. And it's unshaky. Like if you are grounded and you go like speak with that conviction, with that embodiment, with that knowing from the body, from the depth of your body, you can't look away from that. You can't it's much more of a powerful way than if you're just speaking with like shaky unknowing within self, right? It's anchored, it's powerful, it lands on other people's bodies. And this is what I want to talk about too. Like, it actually becomes coherent, and this is when we get out of the mind and all these threads are coming back together, which I love. It's like when you actually, this is what I mean, this is not literal cognitive talk to talk language. This is body based feeling sensational language. So when you speak from that place, it is felt within others, and you are able to move worlds with that, right? Because they feel it in their body, and it's, that's when we start creating and sowing these seeds together of what we're envisioning or what we know to be true. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, couldn't agree more. Yeah, like trusting yourself to, whether it's like get back on the horse or like just see through, like you know that you're going to see through whatever happens, that like whatever happens, you're not going anywhere, that you have your own back because you're the only person charged with the responsibility of doing that on this earth. And I would say the only person charged with unconditionally loving you is you. And so it's like that was a huge part of my path. Is it's just like the self-trust really developed along this like determination of like, it's my job to unconditionally love myself. No one else on this earth has that job. and it's so connected to that faith. And I completely agree with this self-trust. And if you take nothing else from this podcast, if you're listening, like, please stack those receipts for all the times that you nailed it, all of the times that you didn't know how you knew it, but then looking back, thank God you did. Or like, all the times your intuition is correct, and all the times that you've done hard things. Because like, we really do need to build that up inside of ourselves.
Absolutely, because there's so much working against us in this world. That is true. Like, the world is beautiful, it's divine, it's amazing, it's magical, but there is an overlay of a lot of paradigms that keep us from this innate power, that keeps us from our innate wisdom, right? Like, we are conditioned from very young ages that our body is wrong, our body is sinful, it's unclean. Like, so there's a severe disconnect and heaps of stories and narratives that we actually have to peel off of ourselves to be able to go down and in deep into that. All of the social media that we're seeing, perfectionism, that comparison with other women, like, there's veils upon veils upon veils that we have to actually like pull off of us, like this disgusting sinew, I see it, that actually like covers our body. And you actually have to peel that off because it's all a rouge. Like, all of these factors, like it's easy to say, yeah, it's like I just have to trust and have faith with myself. But the deeper inner somatic imprinting within the body that you have to actually unravel and spiral down in is a journey. And then once you do that, like once you start learning that you can remove or release these like imprints, these somatic fractal pieces that are keeping these elements like locked down, and you start to tap in and open up, this is where we come into that real alchemical practice. And it does start to become easy. It does start to become quick. Your inner knowing does feel true. Your inner compass and your complete devotion to self and that inner compassion comes online. And the outside forces, so to speak, are less inclined to attach to you in any elements, like emotionally, energetically, physically. It becomes less, you become less sticky to those things. Yeah.
Right, because you're like fully here. There's not like when it's like you're occupying yourself fully. And I love what you're saying about the importance of the body and the self-trust and like making that connection. And I would just add one more piece to that, which is that like really go and like look through your history, keep your eyes like just open to seeing this all the time, because a huge one of those things that we have to slough off, right, is like the entire Western medical system is built on like fragmenting the body and like looking at like it's you against your symptom. And so many people, whether like I don't know if it's like people listening to this are like they have endometriosis, or they've had a hysterectomy, or like, they're on birth control, or like, anything like that. Like all of those sort of things are it's like a paradigm where it's like you against your symptom, and in that there's a program of like your body betrayed you. And I
Oh,
just want to say your body has never betrayed you. And it's like every reaction that your body has ever had is intelligently coded. It's coded with that same source intelligence. So if you're like, I've had women say to me, like, I feel like my nervous system is broken. And it's like, your nervous system is not broken. Your nervous system did what it needed to do to survive. It patterned things that protected you. And like recognizing that, all of these things that maybe later in life seem maladaptive, or they seem like patterns that we want to rewire, like you must remember that at one point they served you. Your body would never have adapted or coped, or like, if you look at like a German new medicine lens, like with the tissues, like it's all like there's a reason that all of that happened. Your body's a holistic, intelligent system, and all of your symptoms point back to something that's powerful for you to see. It's all valuable information. And so like this idea that it's you against your symptom, no, like, and your body's betrayed you, like, no, it's you and your body and the symptom on the same side of whatever the table is, looking at like, what do we want to do from here? What
yeah,
do all parts of myself need? But it's like your body has never worked against you. And a
never.
lot of people are carrying a story that their body has betrayed them. And I just want to say so clearly that it is not true. However your body responded, there's an intelligence behind it. And our work is to see that.
Yeah. Yes,
Like it
yes,
starts
yes,
with
yes.
seeing that. And then you will be able to really trust your body, because it has never made a mistake on those fronts.
Never made a mistake. Yes, 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 yes. And I feel like that's such a powerful point to put in here, because it's true. Your body is always working for you. Every symptom, every sensation, every nervous system reaction is always working out for you and for your safety. And yeah, sometimes they can be more in alignment, sort of like with our wounding, with our previous wounding and pain points. And that's something that, I want to put in here too, because especially if a lot of us, like I've had a lot of things pop up around abuse. I speak about this often, around like sexual trauma. Like my body, through its divine intelligence, has tried to shift and remove them from my body without me even back, 10, 15 years ago, when I didn't understand it. And I did very much go like, I was young, like I had this liver disease. What's wrong with me? My body's fucked. Like it's, and you go to war with your body. But in actual fact, like my body was trying to save me. My body was trying to process emotions and grief and trauma that I didn't have the knowledge or understanding of to process it myself. And if we could understand that that is all our body is ever trying to do, ever, then I think we would drop down to our knees in such reverence and honor and awe for how much our body takes on for us, that we are completely unconscious about. And this is what, like, this
How
is the type.
the design is.
Right. And like this is like that complete, like I worship my body. And I know people like get all weird with the term worship, but I truly believe that something that is divinely intelligent, that is constantly only working for your benefit, to keep like, that is so. And like I also believe that there's this element of when something's been like pretty desecrated, like worship brings it back to its natural order, which is like reverence and awe and wonder. And yeah, like I actually like go into that element of like, yeah, the body is just such an incredible, and when you have that sort of relationship with something, that actually kind of brings it more online for you to be a coherent, fully working organism, where there's not this split of you and the body and head and mind and, pussy and mouth and whatever you want to, like, it becomes, yeah, this living, breathing, coherent, sensational organism where you're both communing with and communing from. And I think that that is definitely an element that we're missing in the world as we move into this time, right? Treating them like the medical industry, like you said, as two separate things, when actually it's like mother baby. It's actually like two, like it's one coherent system, and also two separate. And I know that's the paradoxal like type thing that we can't wrap our heads around because we're such logical beings sometimes, but it is truth. So
Mm-hmm.
mm,
It just, I mean, you said so many things there on like, there's so many, like we could do a whole episode and I think we'll just have to save it for like when we're in person and doing like workshops in person and things like that of like, the voice and the pussy and like, well, like all of the connections and ultimately like, yeah, coming into, and I do like sometimes I'll talk about like paradoxical embodiment where it's like you can actually just expand and contain multitudes without an experience of inner conflict. And it all
mm,
comes back to like, just like sinking down into the essence of things where everything is interconnected and just recognizing again all of these false constructs on top that are saying this is separate. It's not real. But so many people, right? And this is why it's like the power of perception and what you see. The more that we live in a consensus based reality, and that's not good or bad, that's just what it is. And the more people who are buying into these paradigms of separation and these illusions of like what things are and what they mean, like the more real they are. But the more of us that see and keep pointing to the essence and the truth right below, and this is why so many people are awakening in this way. It's like it's literally like rumbling from below and it's like stirring in you, and if you feel it, like this is for you, like it is rising, like rumbling up from below, and it's like it will be like an earthquake that's like going to destabilize all of the false constructs in this world. And so much of this world is false constructs, and the only reason they have any power to exist at all is people are buying into them. And
yeah.
so yeah, I mean, and I think that we're probably going to start to land this plane as opposed to open up a
Yes.
whole bunch more threads.
Yes,
But
we
it's
are.
just like we actually have the power when we're like so inside of ourselves to know exactly where all the tendrils of our energy, all the tendrils of our attention are going, and we get to like really sovereignly manage that, as opposed
Yeah.
to like having our attention yanked by hooks and things that are trying to like consume your attention and like that are
Yes.
pulling on you, and ideas that other people have about who you should be, and like that you can get pulled into reaction when someone calls you a name. It's like we actually get to like be so centered
Yes.
from that place of being so rested in the truth.
Yes, and that looks different for everybody. I just as a side note before we land this big beautiful announcement, if your body is stirring, I hope it is. It looks different and unique for everyone. Like I truly believe that when you're following the pulse of truth and your body, your life looks wildly, well, for me anyway, for me personally, my life looks wildly different. And on paper, you know, to other people's perception, bringing in that perception lens and layer, it might look absurd, abnormal, not, whatever the prime thing is on paper, where it's like she's got a beautiful, like, white picket life. But in actual fact, like, I believe we're so many unique threads of this element, like, and our lives, we shouldn't be all living the same in brick houses. Like, we all have a calling, we all have a purpose, we all have a mission. And when you're so anchored into your body and you know it truthfully, like, and you have a calling that is greater than, you know, just materialism, and you have a deep God calling, it looks so different. And then like it all makes sense because we're all weaving the web together. And that is how a community is forged and made, especially moving forward. I believe that if we let go of the stories and narratives that life has to look a certain way or people have to be doing a certain thing to be happy or in alignment, it's like there's so many people out there that are here for service and for a purpose that we actually do need. And if we let go of our perceptions and our judgmental eyes and let people live authentically and unique to their expression, we will see a lot more beautiful Edenic worth. Is that the word? Eden?
Edenic.
Did I say it right? I don't know if it's just my Australian accent that makes it sound terrible. I was like, everyone else says it, it sounds delicious. When I say it, I'm like, ew, what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the world. Yeah. What were you going to say? Were you going to add something?
I was going to say, I love that you're using that word, because I'm literally in the process of inviting people into something called Eden, which
Yes.
is, it's a 40-day entrainment into heaven on earth, which is where you abide in when you're in this posture that we've been talking about this whole time of like being descended, being connected to all things, building out that self-trust and like faith and all, like just all of these different pieces. And yeah, it's like when we're in that place, the whole like problem addiction that our minds are just like constantly like, this is wrong, I have to fix that, and I can't relax until this, and I won't be okay unless I get this next thing, and then as soon as I get that thing, there's another achievement. It's like, and it's like, actually, like I say relax, and I realize that most people on this earth have no idea how to relax. Like they don't, like, they go to the spa or they take a bath, but it's like their bodies are still in stress or in survival mode, and it's like nothing you do out here in the external is going to change that. It's something that you change within yourself. It's not in the next amount of money, it's not in getting the guy, it's not in like these things that you're telling yourself, when you do this then you'll soften and then you'll relax. It's like you soften first, and like you soften and you feel through all the things, because softening is the journey of feeling everything unfelt, because the reason you're not soft is because you're braced, and the reason you're braced is because you have unprocessed experience living in your body, unfelt feelings taking up space in your body. And so softening is actually melting all of that off. And when you do that, you relax into your essence. And when you relax into your essence, all of those problems, all of those things that you think you need to be fixated on about the future or about the past are no longer relevant. They're no longer pulling on you. And like that is actually where all of this magic, all of this like being one with this field of living intelligence, synchronicities just happening all the time, seeing the perfection all the time, your perceptual power, creating a magical world and magical life for yourself. Like that is like Eden. We have not left the garden the way that people think that we have. Like I said, we are in a different, we are more dense, but there's still like the majority of the reason most people aren't experiencing heaven on earth is because they're in their minds.
Yes. Go off, queen. Like I felt the fire in that one. I was like, yes, get out of your heads, relax, bracing. You hit so many notes. It's like, I actually believe we have an epidemic of people bracing, like, and bracing because there's no trust, there's no faith in their element, in the earth. And, that is hyper activated through social media, through everything we're seeing, and heightened there. Like, we're not supposed to be that connected with communities that far away, that it's so the paradox, right? It's like we're all interconnected and we're feeling it on the earth anyway, but then also we're totally separate from them. It's a fine bond, and I love that you brought that in there. And
well, and this is the time to like really get back to like being in person and like like body to body. Like last year, my fiance and I were like, one of our main intentions was like prioritize in-person connection, and it looked like long trips for short visits and like things like that. And every single time I was like, this is so worth it. Like, in 2020, I remember like I actually, at one point I was co-founder of like a brick and mortar sort of healing center in California. And I was actually like feeling complete in a certain way with having a brick and mortar situation. And then 2020 happened and we shut down and we moved online. I was like, oh, this is like so perfect, and what a blessing, and like all of these things. And then like last year I was like, it's really time to get back in person. Like that's just one of the things that feels so clear as a calling on my being last year and continuing to this year. So should we tell them?
Yes, I agree, because it's a calling on my heart too. I'm so yeah, I'm so on fire for hands on, hands in, like body to body, womb to womb meeting. And so, yeah, we would love to share with you. Or would you like to share the news? Would you like to be the sharing the news
Sure.
person?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I just like I feel like all of these different pieces we've talked about, there's so many like, I want to hear your voices and see your bodies and like feel you and actually get to like give you all these adjustments of like here and then like feel the oracle move through you, and it's just like all of the beautiful things. Like, there's so many ways like our medicine dances together so beautifully. Like, thank you for grounding us over and over through through this
Yeah.
whole podcast. Because I'm like I will go very vast and you're like, let's like let not in like a logical way, but you're like, let's give some real examples. And I'm like,
Real
yes.
examples
Yeah.
are important.
And like I'm someone who's like, if the like, I just love the way that we play off each other.
Our energy together
We
is actually amazing. Like I don't think there's anything else like it in the world. And I do, there's just some people that you're like, yes. And I think with our energy together, it opens up this such a huge space, right? And I think that's why we're, yeah, so being called to work together and open up this huge space of Oracle women. Yeah. Continue. Sorry, I feel like I cut you off.
no, it's great. Like, just jump in. However, like we have decided to co-create an experience in Greece in autumn of 2026. And this is your official, like, it's happening and you're invited. Like, especially like if this really, what moved through this space today came alive in your body, I hope that you can follow it and like find your way. Like, whoever of us you're connected to, just like reach out, and we would really love to share the details. And it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be in Greece. I don't know if it's halfway between the US and Australia, but it's somewhere in the middle.
I have no
And it's
idea
like,
where it is.
I've seen things where it's like springs are awakening in Greece, like just, which is so connected. We didn't even touch on this, but like, the eternal wellspring within us that we can go
Yes.
and drink from, and it's like there are I guess springs that were dried up in Greece that are now have water flowing at them. And I remember I sent you a video about that, and we were both like, oh my God, we have to do it. Like, we
Yes.
are listening to the call. And so if you
Yeah.
feel the call, we implore you to listen. Like, come be with women, come like tap into and I think a lot of you probably already are tapped in, like come build out like this energetic architecture, organic architecture that we're talking about, to like really live this out. It will enrich every single area of your life.
Yeah.
Your artistry, your creation, your sex life, your spiritual life, like it will touch every part and it will enrich every part. So, I mean, what do you want them to know, babe?
Oh, I just have been really sitting with this, because we've been talking and kind of like, are we doing this over the next like last few months? We've been anchoring in the energy and who we're calling in and who we're wanting to walk this path with. And I feel like it's going to be such a catalyst, like such a threshold moment, a pilgrimage of women that are ready to say yes, that are ready to listen to the call of their body. And you would have felt the pulse already. We did lay down our intentions before we opened up this podcast of, yeah, hearing the call, like feeling it within your body and saying yes. And I think
That if it
that,
doesn't move mountains, to be there if you feel it. And in hindsight,
yes,
you will look back and be like, thank God I did that. Thank God I listened.
right, because it might not make logical sense. We can sit here and we can go, oh, why would I go there? Why would I go there? One, why not? And two, I feel like the earth, it's not just like, I feel like the earth is screaming for this. And I think that's evident with the earth opening up and the springs flowing and the water flowing. To me, that just screams like, wetness, suppleness, like, is that the word I'm thinking of right now? Fertility? Is that a word? This is what I mean. I feel dumb
Fertility,
sometimes.
or like
Fertility.
goodbye.
This is what I mean. Sometimes I just feel so dumb because I can feel it, but I'm not expressing it properly. And I just feel like we need to be there. Like, we actually do need to be there. We need to be connected. Our wombs need to hum together. Our bodies need to feel each other. We have been disconnected for so long now. and it is a greater calling than just us. And I think that if you're ready to surrender to that and drop down on your knees and say yes, then yeah, we would love to journey with you, because I do feel like it's going to be such a evocative, enriching, like powerful space. Yeah.
And immersion's just like, you could do a year-long online program, and like what you will get in this like week-long experience, it'll be 2 half days and 5 full days. Like the in the like body to body, womb to womb entrainment is just it can't not deeply shift, cellularly shift. And
Okay.
yeah, there's going to be so many more details coming that we can share with you. Like we'll make sure that you're held and like carried in and like integrated out, like online before and
Absolutely.
after. So it's just
Yes.
like this is going to be deep. It's going to be so rich. I mean, I think there's just parts of I did a retreat in Costa Rica a couple of years ago, but it's just like I haven't done as much of the in-person facilitation, and I just am like frothing, like foaming at the mouth of how turned on I am to do this. Like I like
Yes.
to like speak your bodies and speak into your bodies, and like and to experience your magic, Sheeana. Like I know that there is just going to be so immersive. Truly,
Yeah.
all parts of your woman and your spiritual essence, your soul, like all parts of you will be encompassed and tended to, and like
Yeah.
it amplified, brought forward, and like the art that you create in the world as a result. Like I am so
I'm so
like
excited.
happy for the world that
Me
you're gonna come,
too.
and like who you'll be on the other side.
Yeah, and I want to, like, as a very sort of like shamanic elemental, I want to bring here is I believe that places on the land call to us, especially as women, like they always do. Like if Greece is a place that is actually like calling to you, or the earth is calling you to go there, I believe that when we go to these pockets and these places of energy, like we have work to do on the land, which is what we're coming to do and offer. Like we offer ourselves as a, yeah, as a thank you. We open ourselves up, and then also like we receive from the land as well. Like it's the co-creational experience of like true, like nervous system earth coherence, and that forever changes you, and that's something that you can't really get online. And I really have really solidified this in my being, like as I have traveled last year. Like I've gone to a lot of places, and it's like I kind of lost that and forgot that places actually call me, and have for my whole life. And you go there and you work on the land and you offer and you receive back, and it actually recalibrates you entirely, and you come out born anew, because it and like ancient tribal people know this and have known this. Like, so I really wanted to put that there too, because yeah, I believe that these places, just being in person and on land.
Gives you the
Yeah.
tingles. If this conversation gives you the tingles, if you've got both, whoa. No, I mean, I think there's going, yeah, like just like follow the feeling, follow
Yeah.
the pull. We're happy to share more details. And
Yeah.
also, like, just, I know that there's so much in this conversation, even if like it's not going to be possible for you to join us in Greece. Like,
Yes.
I know that you enjoyed this, and may the seeds that we've planted
Mm.
in this field nourish you one way or the other.
Yes, beautiful. I feel like that is a wrap. All the details, so I'm not overloading you, because we have gone really deep today. I will put all the details on how to connect with us and sort of
Yeah, just
reserve your
stay with the
space. Stay
feeling.
with the feeling, get out on the land, go do some like pussy squats on the earth. Like breathe down into her. But I will leave you with that. I will put in the information on how to connect with Hana, where you can reach her beautiful offering, and then also our co-creative offering. And I'll leave you with that for today. Thank you so much, Hana, for being with me, for being such a divine light in my life, and yeah, co-creating this space. It's powerful. You're powerful, and I love you.
I love you. Thank you so much.